Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to Navigating the Current Energies. I'm Robin Winn. I'm here with Deborah Sudarsky. We are so happy to be with you today and take a look at this wild world we're all finding our way with. So let's begin, as usual, by just touching in with ourselves and calling on the support of the unseen realm as we prepare to receive whatever messages come through today, whatever guidance comes through today. And we begin by just simply bringing our awareness first to our physical bodies. You can do that by feeling your feet on the floor, taking a breath, sensing into your belly center, sensing into your arms and your legs, and gently smiling towards yourself. Just welcoming, acknowledging you occupy this space at this time. This moment belongs to you. And from this place, we open our hearts and our minds to receive the blessings and the wisdom of the high beings, Christ, Tara, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Saint Germain, whomever that would be for you, the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, Krishna, whatever aspect calls to you, the angels, just to open and receive the light and the blessings that will support you to be able to hear what you need to hear and follow what you need to follow, to align your week, to align this day, to be in the embrace of spirit, we could say, in the arms of spirit. And before we come back to the group, just take a moment, if you know your human design body graph, just to imagine yourself as your human design body graph. Just connect to your openness, connect to your definition, and be curious. What is going on with my blueprint today, this week? How am I being impacted? And knowing that we will offer all that we receive today for the benefit of all beings. And taking a breath and just gently opening your eyes and coming back. Anything you want to say, Deborah, before I hop in?
Um, I actually want you to start because I think that the energies of the week through the lens of human design is a great way for us to get started today.
Great. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share the screen and let's see. Can you see it okay?
Yep, perfect.
Okay, great. Yeah, so wow.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Here we go. Are you ready for this week?
Whoa.
The sun is in gate 40. This is called the gate of aloneness, or in quantum human design, it's called restoration. And the earth is in gate 37, which is called friendship, or in quantum human design, harmony. Now, I'm going to talk on a couple different levels here. First of all, when these two gates come together, you see we have a channel. And this is tribal energy. This is strong tribal energy. This is the energy of agreements, bargains. This is where we're figuring out, is this a good agreement for me? Is this a good um, bargain for me? Is this a good... I'm here. This energy is like here to... It's very emotional, right? It's coming from the emotional solar plexus. I should have these colored in. It's coming from the emotional solar plexus. And it's saying, what do I want? How do I serve people? How do I connect to the tribe and support the tribe? But it has to have you in the picture. If it's not a good agreement, you're going to burn out. You're going to be resentful. So The agreements this week have to include your needs, what you need. And this has to do with that aloneness. It has to do with restoration. It has to do with taking time to yourself by yourself. It's in that time by yourself that you are restored and able to come back and support the tribe, connect to your friendships, connect to people. Now, if the agreements are off, there can be, this is the energy of love and war, right? This tribal energy. It's passionate, it's strong. So if your agreements are off, there can be a warlike or real friction, real challenges, right? Real upset, intense upset. So that is one of the possibilities for this week. And I'll just tell you one little story of my own that relates to that, which is I went for a walk on the beach this morning by myself because my wife didn't want to come, and that was good. I needed to be by myself, right? As I'm walking the beach and I'm thinking about the transits, I'm thinking, these agreements aren't working, these agreements aren't working, these agreements aren't working, I walk in the door and this isn't working, this isn't working, we need to do this differently. She's like, hold on, hold on. She's like, okay, that's the low side of that. We could say it this way. And I'm like, right, right. So I recalibrate, right? The feeling's still the same, like something's not working, but how we go about shifting what's not working, where are we going to come from with that? Are we going to come from connection? Or are we going to come from war or disconnection? So the earth is in friendship. We need the people around us to be supporting us in our aloneness this week. We need them to say, yes, go, take the time that you need. I had a student, colleague, friend of mine write me this morning and say, I'm not following through with the commitment in the training to meet with my partner this week because I just can't do it. I'm exhausted. I'm selling a house. I can't do it. And I was like, oh, don't make yourself wrong for that. This is about valuing yourself, right? This week we need to really get clear on our value and that we're worthy of having that time for restoration. And that in fact, out of that restoration is when we can give. You know, in Qigong, they talk about your dantian, your belly center, and you store your energy there, and you never want to deplete it. You don't want to overgive. And there's a tricky thing here. It's like when we're giving from spirit, it just flows, right? There's an abundance. But we are human beings too. And we have to have our pulse. We have to be clear on what we actually, what actually feels good to us, what actually is a good agreement for us. Because if it's not a good agreement, we're going to burn out and then we don't help anybody. So I was pointing this out to Deborah earlier. Like, Deborah, you have an open emotional solar plexus. Anybody with an emotional solar plexus, open solar plexus, or an open will center is going to be feeling this energy exponentially this week. You're going to feel emotional. You're going to have, potentially, and you were saying that you were like having all these feelings. Yeah, because you're being bombarded by feelings this week. The whole world is being bombarded by feelings this week. And what agreements? What are we doing with Afghanistan? What are we doing? All the agreements. What are the agreements? And what do we value? And what's our value?
Can you talk a little for a second? Because in the time that we've been doing these weekly navigational reports, I've never seen a channel, contain channel where it starts and ends like that. What's the significance of that? Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Well, whenever two gates come together, it's like exponential. A third thing is created, right? So, and those energies are looking for each other. So it's like that river, that flow is there. So you've got this flow from the emotions to the will center. That's a constant flow. The will center is about what you value, and it's about the capacity to do things. It's very materialistic. It's the materialistic center in the chart. So we're going to take our emotions and we're going to go do something with them, right? We're going to create value. We're going to do something. So I'm not, am I answering your question?
Yeah, I guess what you're just saying is it magnifies or intensifies what those existing energy, the sun and the earth separately, because of the fact the gates connect, just intensifies that energy,
Yeah,
right? Isn't that what you're
I
kind of
am
saying?
saying that. I'm totally saying that. And that everybody on the planet right now has access to both of these centers. So there's going to be a lot of emotions this week, and there's going to be a lot of doing or what do you value and proving yourself, we could say. Um, and there could be a potential for burnout this week for overdoing if you're not, again, if you're not in restoration, if you're not making sure the agreements you have in your relationships, in your job. And for me, I realize too, in my relationships with myself, like what agreements do I have in my business? I was talking to a coach this morning and he was saying, you create a business for a lifestyle, not for a product or something, for a lifestyle. And it's like, oh, yeah, what in my lifestyle do I need to shift? What do I need in my business to shift so I have the lifestyle that supports, right, me?
Mhm.
So I
makes
thought, isn't that interesting?
makes a lot of sense. Yes.
I know. And that it would come up today, of course, on the call because we're in this. Everybody's dealing with it. What are the agreements we have with ourselves, with others? Are we taking the time we need to go into the deep restoration, the deep care, self-care? Are we taking the time to be in integrity with ourselves? This is really deep honoring of who we are. Not from a not from a what do I want to say? I don't want to diminish ourselves. It's really like in order to do the work we're here to do in the biggest sense of the word, you know, what do we need? What kind of self-care do we need in order to do that? This isn't a collapse by any shape or means.
Yeah.
This is nurturing. This is deep restoration.
Oof.
It's big. This is big. It's a big week.
Very powerful.
It's very powerful. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Any other
so
questions? Or are you ready to
now
go into?
I'm gonna segue a little because um, well, I want to start my little segment by honoring my dad. It's his birthday today, and he's been gone for a while, but a few years. But I'm looking at that, thinking of his energies and how powerful he was, and what a massive presence he was to our family and to those who interacted with him. But I want to tell a little bit of a story, and then it really parlays well with the human design element this week. So, my daughter and I went to Minnesota for a wedding, and my niece Hannah got married, and it was extraordinary. And we celebrated her marriage on her farm. And I've never been to Minnesota. I'm an East Coast girl. I also live out on the West Coast. I'm a coast person. So I got a very clear message from my guides that I was going to have a very powerful moment on the trip. And I wasn't sure exactly what it was going to look like, but when it happened, I knew that I wanted to share it on the broadcast. So I was in bed, and the land where we were was, the earth was so nurturing and beautiful and grounded and healing. And I live in very loud and it there's a lot of noise, less so here on the East Coast, but a lot where I live in LA. And so it was beautiful to experience that natural earth energy and to be receptive to spirit and to experience that, which I always talk about the importance of nature, and nature is so restorative. But I was sleeping, and I've become aware that when I sleep now, I sort of am sleeping, but I'm awake at the same time. So oftentimes I feel like I'm not sleeping, but I'm kind of in this mixed awareness. And in this moment, I had this massive, it almost felt like um, uh, what's the word? I get a loss for word because I'm just looking at the visual, but like a satellite coming from another planet. And I realized it was a huge upgrade. And oftentimes I talk about being upgraded, and I'm sharing it because that energy is happening now for many of us here. And we are getting massive amounts of solar flares and upgrades. And what that looked like for me is I felt this huge burst of energy, and I heard in my ears, "You're now downloading. So open up and be receptive." And so I was opening up to this incredible energy. And I asked my guides to protect my energy to make sure that I was receptive in the right way and that I wasn't taking on anything that wasn't. And in that moment, as I was getting upgraded, I could feel things falling away that no longer served me. So it sort of massively resonates with your message that if we're not being supported and we're not feeling that connection in our individual moments, we aren't able to really connect with others and we're not able to feel supported. We need to feel support even when we're alone. But I got that very clear message that with upgrades, things that don't resonate, things that don't feel like they're helping us feel good, it's time to let them go. Some of those things happen without our choice. Friends that somehow we just aren't able to connect with, or we lose interest in calling, or projects that we've been thinking about either become more focused in our vision of what we want to do, or maybe we put it on the back burner. But I got this very clear message that what doesn't resonate, to let it go. Just let it go and trust that I'm getting all the things I need for this next period of time. And I got that message to share it because all of you that are resonating with the message of getting these downloads, particularly in the middle of the night, we're so receptive. So you can even ask before you go to bed for some guidance and protection. But also, if it's meant for upgrades, this is a great time and you can ask for some assistance. And then, as much as you can stay conscious through that process, remember what that experience is like and what the message is. And again, for me, the message is you're getting some very important upgrades and to let go of the things that don't resonate for you. And so I wanted to share that message. Hopefully, anyone listening is getting that. And, you know, the guides are so apparent and so um, available to each of you that are listening. At this time, the veil is much thinner than it has been, and we're involved in a massive transformation. And it's an exciting period of time. Sometimes that looks terrifying when we don't know what it looks like. We just know we're letting go of things. And I know oftentimes I feel afraid of change. It's not my, I like stability, and I don't always recognize the power in transformation. Also feels uncomfortable because you're letting something new come in. And I feel like it's just very resonant with your message about relationship to self, relationship to others. And I just wanted to pass that along, how powerful this time is. And as much as you can stay receptive and not feel afraid, then that's the best way to kind of handle it.
Thank you, Deborah. That's beautiful. I want to weave something into that. Two things I want to weave into that. One is, my whole story about my wife Yarrow, the point, I don't know that I made it well enough, and you kind of were pointing to it a little bit, like when these downloads come, when these shifts happen, we can go into a negative spin about it. We can think something's wrong rather than, like, I came home like, "Wah!" Rather than we need people around us who will help us to stay at the higher level with what we're going through and see it from that perspective, and to take agency, take responsibility rather than go to collapse and inadequacy. And this week would be an easy week to feel inadequate with that will center being activated. Very easy to feel like you don't have what it takes, you're deficient somehow, you can't make these changes that you're being guided to make or asked to make. It can be overwhelming, right? That these downloads, we can go two ways with them. We can feel like I can't do this, or we can say, okay, there's a download happening, we're in a shift, things are changing, and we can hold a bigger picture.
What you're saying, the word I keep hearing is anchoring, because you want to anchor the positive energy. And as I'm so glad you brought that up, and not get caught up in the things that are leaving or why isn't this working. And so as much as and I think that's why for me, that experience was so visual and so important to share on this great vehicle opportunity, to share the importance of anchoring that energy so that we can be more aware of it and hold it, contain it, so we don't just diffuse it.
Right? Allow it, right? Allow the shifts that need to happen, the things that need to fall away, to allow that, to not grab hold out of fear or to hold. Yeah, there's some things that need to shift. Yeah, okay. Like, I'll just tell you this one example, which is the Edgar Cayce reading I had for today was, you know, like, make your house a place where angels would want to visit. And I came in, we need to fix this in the house. This is a mess. And it's like, oh, right. The higher place. Well, let's make it a place where angels want to visit. Right? Let's organize around that. So
it's funny you said that, because before the call, I got my diffuser on. I've got all my crystals out today. And I also felt that need to create a little bit more support for the space, to hold it on the highest vibration. And that's a conscious thing, to be able to create little things that make, whether it's lighting a candle or bringing in some flowers, or all those little ways of sort of bringing in the light in a positive way.
Yeah. And to have friends around you who support you, who don't like, if you kvetchy, that they don't like join you in the kvetch, They don't like say, oh yeah, your relationship sucks, you need to leave. No, I mean, you might need to leave, we don't know, but not to go there. Like, okay, well, let's see what's possible here. What if this needs to leave, and what needs to stay to support that, right? The other thing I wanted to say was that I was hearing you talking. I was thinking about reading your book this weekend, and your new book that's coming out. And I just want to acknowledge that it's really good, and it's really it's time, it's needed, and your spirit, your generosity, your clarity, that this is for everyone. This access to the guides is for everyone. It's not for the special few who have certain talents and capacities and abilities. So really what Deborah started with was calling on the unseen realm for whatever your word for that would be. Ask for help and clean your house and make it available for angels, or whatever that would be for you, the highest order. So I want to acknowledge that.
I do want to say that if anybody listening would like to be part of my advanced praise, I am really happy to get the book to anyone that wants to learn about connecting with their guides. And so leave a comment below, and I'll reach out to you. And I really appreciate you bringing that in. So thank you.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to bring in is that I'm speaking at the Human Design Conference, the International Human Design Conference, September 10th and 11th and 12th. 10th through the 12th. So yeah, I'm the 11th and 12th. So if that interests you, I'll put a post in the chat here too, and you can sign up for that. It's going to be incredible. It's always incredible, and this year it's going to be even more spectacular. I'm speaking on stepping into the creative vortex of your chart. So
I love that title.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I want to know what my creative vortex is, so I gotta have to listen to that. That's
amazing. I love that. So shall we wrap up here? Anything else you want to say? Are we good?
Just transformation. Don't be afraid. Fear is easily anchored and dissolved through nature. meditation helps to clarify and to know that we're here for this.
Yeah, we are here for this. We are here for this moment, for this week, for this lifetime. We, we,
Exactly.
we are called. We have been called to this time for a reason, and we all have value. And our job is to tune into ourselves and find out, open to receive. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So,
Thank you.
yeah. So let's just take a moment and close our eyes once again and just maybe put our hands on our hearts. Just have gratitude for the support that we do receive from friends, from unseen realms, from the high beings, from ourselves. Just acknowledge that we have intrinsic value. There's nothing we can do to create more value or to lose value, that we are value itself. Just to acknowledge this week as one of letting go of what's not working and opening and making good agreements, good, clear agreements that support us to be the highest and best we can be and offer what we can offer to the full extent of our potential. We just give thanks and offer whatever we've learned, whatever we take away today for the benefit of all beings. And may your week be fully blessed. Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you, everyone. We look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you for that beautiful closing prayer. That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm going to sign us off then.
Thank you.